when you think of the history of this college or any other college in Oxford or Cambridge, you often think of the old members who've gone off to do extraordinary things in their lives, or our fellows who were great researchers or inspiring tutors. But of course, there is a third constituency in the college, and that's us, the members of staff. For think what members of staff do. It's them who feed you, it's them who keep your rooms clean, it's them who make sure you're paid, and indeed who make sure that the buildings of the college don't fall down about our heads. So theirs is a crucial role in the college. And so it's with some pleasure that for this month's object, we focus on a photograph of the college's members of staff in 1969. It's quite a rarity. Perhaps one reason why members of staff often escape notice is that there aren't many very good records of them. If you go back in time and look at all our old accounts, they'll certainly say that the butler and the cook and the barber all got paid so much every year, but they don't name them. Now, this photograph, we're very lucky. We do know who they all are, and we also know what they all did. And so we know that there are lots of scouts here. There are lots of people in the kitchen. Well, of course, you can spot them wearing all their hats. There are one or two gardeners. Perhaps at the centre, though, I ought to draw your attention to the remarkable figure of Fred Reilly. Fred had started work for the college when he was about 15 in 1900, and he became head porter for many years. And here he is in 1969, and he would only retire a year later. Now, that sort of level of service, 70 years, is extraordinary in any age. And you won't get it so much now, partly because, of course, people tend to start working for the college when they're a bit older. And of course, we now have retirement ages. And so now I'm going to hand over to one of my colleagues for their reflections on this photograph and their role in the college today.
I mean, it's quite interesting to see the photograph, and the uniforms have changed. Not too far away from what they were. It's quite interesting to see the kind of uniform people used to be all whites and everything. I think the food has changed dramatically. What I can envisage in that time, it could have been quite traditional. It could be perceived quite heavy. It was more important to fill yourself up for the day. The thought of vegetarianism would have been quite novel at that time, that people would have thought, oh, vegetarian, what do we do with them? And they probably ended up probably not getting anything great. But now things have changed dramatically. I mean, the changes we've made are trying to incorporate what's current and what's relevant nowadays, and trying to bring in a lot of international flavors, and trying to make the food more exciting, more healthy, and sort of bridging the gap of what an ideal food should look like. It should be sustainable, it should be local, it should have the right nutrition for most people, and above all, obviously, look at the costings as well, but also looking at people's preferences nowadays. People have a lot of strong preferences with food, and which earlier probably weren't there that much, but now people are quite particular on what they eat, and then they're quite keen to know where it comes from, how it's been produced, about the welfare of the teams who produce this food, how many miles it has traveled. So all these things play a lot of role nowadays, and the more we talk about all these things, the more aware we become, the more is done about it then. I mean, if we don't talk about these subjects and we don't explore what can be done and look at the right direction, I think we have to become sustainable. We have to talk about these things rather than not talk about it, and I think there is some sort of social obligation on us as well. One of our key focus has been that use the strengths in the team. Nowadays our teams are quite diverse. We all come from different backgrounds, and we have our strengths which we can bring, and it's quite important that we incorporate as many flavors and ideas we can. One of the key things I actually focus on is that how authentic we can make the food as much as we can. Sometimes when we import things from overseas and menus and concept and ideas, we seem to simplify or change them, but I try to keep it as authentic as I can.
Now I'm very pleased to be joined by one of my colleagues, Anne Gahungu.
Hi.
Now Anne, perhaps you might start, but if you tell us what your role in the college is.
Perfect. Like you said, my name's Anne. I'm one of the staff of the catering members. So I provide the food, I organise the lunch, like for example, like quarantine if the staff come back from another country. We provide sandwiches, drinks, and that's all.
Well, you say that's all. I would say once again,
Yeah,
especially those of poor people stuck in quarantine,
Yeah,
they
exactly.
need you.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, what I've always said, that it's people like the members of staff who
Yeah.
keep the college going so much.
I agree, yeah, literally.
Now, we were looking at this wonderful photo, and your first thought was, gosh, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a long time, 50 years ago. I wasn't
Yeah.
even born then.
No, well, I think I was just starting school.
That's
It was
amazing,
photographed, yes.
literally.
And I was wondering what you thought about it, looking at your predecessors.
For me, I feel like there's different type of like culture. For example, like there's different type of members here compared to the generation then and now, age-wise. Because right now I don't see no one my age at the moment.
No, that's very true.
Like I see older people starting from 30 years old. So that's changed a lot, culture-wise as well, race, yeah. So yeah.
No, it is a remarkably white group.
Yeah, literally. So
I mean, I don't know whether perhaps that reflects what Oxford City was like 50 years ago.
I agree, yeah.
And that we're a much more diverse
Diversity, yeah.
city
exactly,
now, and I
yeah.
think that is reflected much more in our staff members now,
Exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah, I agree, and that's a good thing because
Yeah. And I mean, I think it is, you'd agree it's very important that people remember what we, the staff, do for the
Yeah.
college. I've thought of one difference between then and now. That looking at the photograph, you can see that, of course, all the kitchen staff are there wearing their great big white hats and
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah,
but almost no one else seems to be wearing uniform.
uniform.
And I suppose one difference now is that a lot of the staff do wear uniforms. And I don't know how you feel, whether you'd like to go back to 1969 or whether you like the fact that when you come into work, you don't have to think about what to wear, that it's sorted out for you.
For me, I prefer uniform. Like you said, I don't have to like think of what to wear. That makes me feel comfortable. But they're all wearing dresses though. If you
That's true.
actually like look at the pictures, no trousers, just dresses. That's a bit crazy.
That is striking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I think, of course, if you go back to the 60s, you can think of sort of the fashionable woman might wear a trouser suit.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
something tells me that if one of the women in that photograph had turned up wearing trousers, eyebrows would have been raised in 1969. It's just a whole other world, isn't it?